How to properly size a Datto SIRIS. Properly sizing a Datto SIRIS backup solution is very important. It'll ensure your data is backed up today and in the future. Determining a Datto SIRIS is properly sized is based on the ratio of the Datto device's primary storage size to the sum of the devices of each protected volume. Please note, however, this how-to video doesn't take into consideration usage of the NAS share feature available in web consoles. In the event a SIRIS NAS share is being used, simply subtract the NAS share's used space from the total size of the device. And here's the very important 2-time multiplier rule. Based on each SIRIS's default retention policy, it's recommended to choose a model that has a primary storage size that's twice that of the total amount of the size of the protected volumes. This ensures the device will have the storage space needed to store the first backup, which becomes the initial base image, and later continuously roll this base image to the front of the chain with each backup. When the stored backups in the primary storage of the SIRIS device reaches 100% of its capacity, the backups will start to fail. It'll also provide storage space for backups to be stored for each of the 168 hours in the previous week, one backup from each day for 28 days, and one backup for each week for 90 days. That's approximately 12 weeks. Devices that fill up before the end of the retention policy result in failed backups. Provide a safety buffer for cases in which mild, unexpected data growth could potentially occur over time. When a SIRIS device's primary storage space reaches maximum capacity, the optional resolution paths may be more difficult. So let's talk about Datto SIRIS's default retention policy. Viewing the retention policy for a protected machine on the SIRIS web console can be done so by selecting the link entitled Basic Options on the web console. By default, these values will be 168 hourly backups per week, convert intra-daily backups to dailies after 7 days, convert dailies to weekly backups after 4 weeks, and delete backups locally after 90 days. Check it out. So now let's talk about how you determine the proper sizing for your SIRIS. The first page that appears when launching the web console displays a section called Storage Status on the left sidebar. From the Storage Status section of the left sidebar, 2 important fields are displayed. The first, Primary Storage. This displays the used, available, and total size of the primary storage of this device. Then, Total Protected. This value takes the size of all protected volumes for every protected machine and displays the sum. Please note, the total protected size should not exceed 50% of the primary storage's total capacity. In cases where total protected size is greater than 50% of the primary storage's total capacity, the device will likely reach 100% capacity. When this occurs, it's likely failed backups will occur until existing recovery points are deleted to make more space available, as you can see here. So how do you handle quote-unquote edge cases and unique retention policies? When total protected size is slightly larger than 50% of the primary storage's total capacity, as seen in the slightly undersized SIRIS example above, setting a slightly more conservative retention policy may help to avoid having SIRIS reach its full capacity. If a retention policy is requested that's longer and/or more frequent than the default retention policy, it's suggested to work with your Invenio IT sales associate to help properly size the device to support the storage of the number of recovery points needed. Let's talk about the resolutions available for when too much data is being protected by a SIRIS device. Reducing the amount of used disk space on the protected machine and/or its volumes can help to avoid consequences of an undersized device. Many Datto partners have success determining which directories contain the most amount of data by using the open source tool. Keep in mind, once data has been removed from the protected machines themselves, that previously taken backups still contain this data. Because of this, it may be required to remove previous recovery points from the web console in order to relieve space from the primary storage of your Datto SIRIS. Disable backups of a specific volume on a local SIRIS web console. The volume level backup control is available by selecting the advanced options for the protected machine. Here's a tip. If a system reserved volume is listed for the machine running Windows Server 2008 R2 or Windows 7, don't uncheck this volume as it will hamper virtualization and it's typically only 100 megabytes in size. You can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so let's talk about modifying default retention policies in the local SIRIS web console. Choosing a conservative retention policy of a protected machine can be done for just one machine or for all machines protected by the SIRIS. Simply click Basic Options for any protected machine on the local SIRIS's web console to find backup retention options. Please note the retention policy will not actually be applied until the next backup successfully completes. In events where the SIRIS is 100% full, removal of one or more recovery points to provide space for the next backup will be required to apply retention. Your screen should look like this. Just modify the backup schedule in the local SIRIS web console. Configuring a backup schedule of a protected machine can be done for just one machine or for all machines protected by the Datto SIRIS. Simply click Basic Options for any protected machine on the local web console to find the backup schedule options. And here's our final tip. The hours of the day and days of the week themselves can be clicked to remove all the boxes in set. And that's how you properly size a Datto SIRIS. Contact us at Invenio IT with any of your questions. And remember, your data is your business. Protecting it is ours. Protecting it is ours.